Hello? Hello? Okay. Hi guys. So welcome to another Tarcy Talks, and this is going to be short because one, the purpose of this, what I'm doing right now, is I am stalling because our audience is mostly alumni. So for those who don't know, it's Stockholm week, which means it's a day of stress for a lot of teachers. So Stockholm is tomorrow. Actually, there was already Stockholm for grade 7 and 8 earlier today, and tomorrow Joshua and I are up on deck to present different grades. So actually, Joshua and I prepared. We were going to upload a video, which would kind of take place of the Tarcy Talks, but as Josh was saying right there, he's uploading it, so I am stalling until that video is uploaded, and then you guys can watch it. Okay, so yeah, I'm stalling, and so I have very little to talk about. I mean, I have a fair amount to talk about, just that Nothing that I've actually properly thought through, unlike the other Tarcy Talks in which I normally think about these things during the weekend, whereas in this case, I'm kind of just freestyling it. So, well, just to give you a preview of what we did. So, last night we should have done it earlier than last night. Last night we played a tabletop game, and over Discord. Well, mostly because of me, since I live away from them. And yeah, we recorded our playing. So for those who are into board games, who are into tabletop games, who are into role playing, hopefully this is a kind of intro at how creative you can be when it comes to these kinds of games. It's actually really fun. If you haven't played games like D&D before, well, I suppose D&D can be kind of daunting because it's kind of like a whole thing. But there are a lot of smaller tabletop games in which they come with already preset scenarios and characters that you can play. So it's just a matter of stepping to the role rather than you actually creating your own character. But honestly, that's kind of the fun of D&D. That you get to create your own character, you get to create their motivation, their backstory, and all of these other things. You get to develop the character through the adventures that you go through. So just to I'll take, since I'm stalling anyway, might as well tell a few stories. So I got into D&D. Well, my first contact with D&D was through Joshua, in the sense that I knew that he played D&D. I would hear that of certain things that would happen. Josh was actually pretty famous among his friend group for having very unusual strategies when he plays D&D. So he's kind of infamous in that group. And I'd hear about some of the stories, and they were pretty funny. So, but that was pretty much all it was to me. It was just a thing that my brother was doing that was pretty funny. I'd hear some funny stories, but not really something that I thought I would get into. Then my next contact, or more constant contact with D&D, I think it was already through memes. So I started encountering memes regarding D&D, and I couldn't really understand it. So I kind of just started looking through the different social media groups that refer to D&D, and the more that I read it, the more that I looked through the memes, and I'd also look up about how D&D is played, the more I'd get intrigued, because how can a game, tabletop game that kind of has already its own preset rules and all these things, be so freeform? You have these really unusual things happening that it's really not possible to script, and yet which can result in really amazing adventures. So I started looking up the memes. I started reading some D&D, some anecdotes of very funny D&D stories and encounters. And from there, I started kind of being interested. If ever I get a chance to play, I'm pretty sure that would be fun. And one time, so I remember mentioning it to Joshua. I kind of started sharing to Joshua that I was looking at memes and these fan pages of D&D, and so he set up a game once, just with his friend who acted as DM, and us brothers and a few more people. So we played our first game, and it's really fun. I mean, the freedom that gives you, that you can just come up with anything, and then the DM, the dungeon master who's in charge of the game, is able to make up things on the fly that really he could not have expected. The interactions between the players and the player characters So one time, this was during the first game that Joshua and I played together, and so we were sneaking around in the mines, but Joshua, being Joshua, Sir Q, was so we were sneaking around, but his character was being very noisy and very talkative. So we actually kind of poisoned him just so that to knock him unconscious. And again, I'm talking about character, just in case you guys are getting confused. So we actually had to physically subdue our own teammate so that we could pull off a sneak attack. That's pretty funny. And there are a lot of various really mishaps that happen in games like this. Anyway, so this was my first time playing a different version. So I like the fantasy, and I like the fantasy genre. And then, so the tabletop that Joshua set up for us yesterday was more sci-fi. So yeah, that was different. I still prefer fantasy, maybe horror. I played Mansions of Madness. It's not as freeform as D&D, but it still allows for a lot of choice, a lot of decisions. But yeah, I think I prefer my adventures on the more fantasy side. Also seem to be partial to dwarves. I always make dwarves as my character, and anyway. Okay, so while I'm stalling, so let's see. There are a lot of people watching right now, but probably better that way since I don't have much to talk about. So I was looking through the Google form, and we have actually one new response from someone. Again, it's anonymous. And so some things that were suggested by this one person, Speedrunning Duolingo. How do you speedrun Duolingo? Suppose if you kind of just do the summative test at the end, but it will depend on what language. But some of these things actually seem to be something I actually do. One thing that I thought about, and it's also mentioned here, is coding tutorial, but less me teaching and more me undertaking challenges, coding challenges. So for those who kind of want to flex their coding muscles just a little, you can go to hackerrank.com. And HackerRank, basically, it's basically a problem-solving website for coding problems. And I actually find it better for learning because when you're learning lessons, you're not sure of the application. But when you're doing things in terms of problem solving, in terms of, okay, you have this problem and you're trying to get this output given this, it's like solving a puzzle. So in that way, it's a lot more. Personally, I find it a lot more better for learning because now you know how to do something rather than you have a concept and you're not particularly sure how to apply it. So rather than learning about loops, you're given a challenge in which you have to utilize loops. So I'll probably do that one of these days. I'll challenge myself to learn a language that I don't really know. I've done a lot of tutorials in a lot of different languages, but never really stuck to a lot of them. So I've dipped my finger into Kotlin, into Ruby, Python. I spend quite a bit of time with Python. Maybe I should learn C#. I'll probably look into that. A lot of games are made using C#. So I'll probably do that one of these days. Do a coding challenge stream. And then some music stream. I've been thinking about it. I do need to practice. I do want to get back to playing instruments, even just for I really do need to set a schedule for for that practice. But honestly, the mere setup of a saxophone takes so long, and it's such a hassle. And you can't just leave it out because uh, it gets more prone to wear and tear. So I always have to clean it, no matter how short I play it. So say I play it for just 20 minutes, just to do some scales and all of these things. I have to, just for playing for those 20 minutes, it takes me 10 minutes to pull it out. Well, okay, let's not say 10, 5 minutes. But still, it's kind of a hassle in terms of proportion. So it takes me 5 minutes to pull it out, to assemble it, and then maybe 10 minutes to pull it, to disassemble it, to clean it, and put it back in the case. So it's kind of discouraging, but I really should try to set up more practice with the instruments. I do, I remember back when I had already left the house, but I was staying in a different place, and I had a regular schedule for practicing saxophone. It was 30 minutes a day, well, and not even every day, but 30 minutes a day. But the thing is, we lived in a pretty crowded neighborhood, and every time I practiced, the dogs would offer their opinions on my playing. So, I mean, there's that. It's really hard to play the saxophone softly. During quarantine, though, I did notice that one of our neighbors playing the drums, and at the start of the quarantine, you could tell it was kind of just a beginner thing. So just like the simple beats, and then, but then over the months, it was constant. Really, this guy's impressive. Really, honestly, that he was able to keep it up over the entire quarantine. So now we actually hear him performing these pretty complex beats. So, props to him. So, goes to show you that if you really stick to a practice schedule, you can reach pretty far. But yeah, I used to have a schedule in which I would allot 2 hours of a week to practice. Normally, that's 1 hour on Saturday and Sunday. I need to find some way to put that back in. And then, let's see. Let's see, what else can we do? Something else that was suggested. Karaoke stream? No, that's definitely a no. A reading stream? Maybe something like that. I'd like to read something, maybe more of a commentary stream, I suppose, in which it's been a while since I've actually properly read the book, but I remember one time what I did to sort of help myself or push myself to read it was I contacted a friend and said that, oh, let's read this book and let's kind of talk to each other about it. So, and yeah, it was quite a good push to read, and we had a pretty good discussion. So I'll probably do something like that, more along the lines of I'll probably announce I'm going to be reading something, a book that I've heard of, or maybe a particular news article that, maybe more essays that, not news, maybe more essays and small short novels. And yun, parang I'll encourage you to read it with me, that you come to the stream having read it. Otherwise, you'll get spoiled. But so yeah, probably more essays then. And I want to comment on it because there are a lot of good essays, especially if you're looking a bit back. So I'll need to think that through. Let's see. So Josh is telling me 17 minutes until upload. Let's see. Barbershop quartet video. It's on Facebook. Do I have it? Anyway, I'm not gonna show it. There's one. I always like the barbershop quartet videos, especially if you're the only one doing the voice, because it sounds so kind of not raw, pero just a person's vocals singing so it sounds have music sound that good without any accompaniment. I think it's also partly why I kind of like the shanties. So I think Joshua mentioned the other time that he was listening to Longest Johns, which he heard from me. So it's a group that they normally do sea shanties, and yeah, it's pretty catchy. And the thing that if you can get enough guys together and everyone knows the lyrics, everyone knows their pitch, and you can pull off something like that, I bet it'd be pretty fun, especially if you were friends with enough people who knew the same song, and you could just belt it out when you're traveling somewhere. Yeah, I bet that would be fun. Let's see what else was suggested. Let's see. Drawing stream. We'll probably do a Gartic phone stream sometime. It's pretty fun. I've done it a few times already with some friends, and it's pretty interesting. Okay, sige. So a Genshin stream. I mean, I don't think I'm much of a gamer streamer, because gaming streaming requires you to constantly dialogue with your chat and make sure that to facilitate kind of interesting things to watch. I'm kind of a pretty straightforward gamer. Yeah, I don't think I'd be that entertaining to watch. If it were something co-op with my brothers, then yeah, that would be something that would be interesting. Okay, what else? Okay, let's see. Talk about... I'm not sure, honestly. Josh, how many minutes? And honestly, that's just the upload. It still has to render after after a while. Okay, so maybe let's talk a little bit about... I mean, we always kind of circle around the same topics, just talking about it in different aspects, and so when I was kind of foreseeing this week and this particular day, I had already told Joshua, like, almost immediately after last week's stream, that we need to prepare something in advance, because we're probably going to be too busy with Skocom to properly stream. I mean, we kind of failed on the preparation part, but yeah, we're but when did we finalize playing? Anyway, when it was coming close to the weekend and we still hadn't done anything to prepare for Monday, I started considering, should I just cancel the stream? I mean, I had two obvious choices, I suppose. I can just come up with a topic, on stream, do the full stream, and then just power through the Skocom the next day. The other option was to kind of to not stream at all, and just okay, sorry, no stream. We'll just see you next week. And I thought about it. I think this kind of dilemma. I mean, it might seem like a small thing. There's a choice between will you stream or will you not stream, is kind of a small thing. But it when I was thinking about it, it kind of represents a lot of our decisions when it comes to weighing consequences about other about other things. So Bianca saying that it's okay not to stream sometimes, and I agree. That's why I was really thinking that, yeah, I mean, in terms of importance, okay, so how important is the stream? Honestly, not very much. It's supplementary. I'm Josh and I are producing this content because we want to provide something for students that can be entertaining, that can have some value. I mean, of course, there are other things that students can spend their time on, but just to provide another option. And we make an effort to make our option at least, suppose, a more wholesome option or a more educative option. We try to talk about school issues, we talk about life issues and all these things. But yes, okay, noble goals. But in terms of, do I have to stream? Is it really important that I do stream? Yeah, I mean, weighing it against having to do work, then definitely not. So if I was really pushed to a point that I had to choose between the two, then definitely I wouldn't have streamed today. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, I mean, again, I'm just stalling until the video is uploaded. But I was thinking that we, as people, we like to kind of rationalize and find a way to rationalize the other option, even though logically speaking, we know that something else is more important. So the past few nights, I've actually been staying up quite late. Not always for the right reason. I mean, yes, I was up checking work, checking assignments and all of these things, but I admittedly was staying up even further for things that were not work. So my Genshin late plays, in which I would get caught playing at 1 a.m. and all these things. I mean, so when you're already up, parang it feels like, where did my free time go? And then you kind of just want to do a little something, which turns into a few hours. So I mean, it happens. I don't claim to be a good role model. I mean, I try to be, but there are times that there are things that I'm not able to do the things that I recommend to others. And it's not being a hypocrite. I think a lot of people kind of have misconstrued what being a hypocrite is. To be a hypocrite is to, well, again, simply put, it's to preach one thing and to do something else. But if you're to ask me, you're only really a hypocrite if you don't acknowledge that what you're doing is wrong. So, I mean, for example, a person who is a recovering alcoholic, he can tell other people that drinking too much alcohol is bad, and at the same time have relapses himself into alcoholism. But this person will not be a hypocrite for as long as he recognizes that his relapse was a mistake. And I, for one, freely admit that staying up until 2 a.m. Playing Genshin when I should have gone to bed as soon as I was tired at 12:30 was probably the better choice. So I freely recognize that, and I freely admit it. So, and I tell other people to have a better scope of what you're supposed to use your time for. And I don't think I'm a hypocrite for doing that. If anything, I'm just honest. As much as I can be, at least. Okay, so let's see. So anyway, I was thinking about that, and I had a point. I was preparing this point all the way from like early in the afternoon, and then I had followed that right build up, and then I kind of lost it. What was it again? So I was saying that, yeah, we kind of have that tendency to rationalize the things that we were doing that we probably shouldn't have. So yeah, I was rationalizing, for example, taking myself as an example, I'd rationalize, playing Genshin all the way until the really early hours of the morning because I don't have much time to relax. I'm stressed, all of these things. And yeah, so I rationalize it to sort of make myself feel better about something that I rationally and logically know is something that I should not have done. And it's a very human thing. And not to say that how do I kind of lost my thought. Okay, not to say that we should be harsh on ourselves, but at the same time, I suppose the point I'm trying to drive home here is that we do have to be honest. We have to be kind to ourselves, and yet we have to be honest to ourselves, because sometimes you see it going two separate ways in a certain sense. You have someone being so kind to himself that he kind of sort of, is there a lighter word for this? I mean, okay, let's just say it kind of deludes himself into thinking that, oh yeah, I mean, I was justified in staying up late, or parang it's understandable, so it's okay. And the other way would be to kind of really come down hard on yourself and say na, oh, I'm a terrible person, parang I'm a hypocrite, I don't know how to follow through with the things that I said, I don't know how to set goals and all these things. Both of which are honestly really not great ways of going about things. It's always, the sweet spot is always in the middle. And they don't have to contradict each other. You can be honest and say that a certain thing was wrong, and yet understand the reasons why it happened. And that way, you are able to recognize mistakes, you are able to grow from mistakes, and yet still not kind of beat your own self into a pulp, both emotionally and mentally. And we do this with our friends too, I think. Sometimes we're so concerned about being a good friend, about supporting our friends, and we should emotionally support our friends. But there are times that I suppose we kind of skirt around the issue. So, for example, I don't know, maybe you have a friend who has a problem with drinking, and then so as a friend, it would really fall onto you to be honest that, yeah, I know that you're going through a rough time, and I know that it's hard to get over these problems that you're facing, but this thing that you're doing has to stop. You can't make excuses for these people, and you can't rationalize something that is harming him, and that is wrong. So in that way, I suppose to find that balance between having heart and being very rational of our approach to things, we should always be kind to ourselves in understanding as to how we process why we did things, why we made mistakes, or why we are making mistakes, and what we can do to correct them. But at the same time, to not be so understanding that we kind of brush the whole matter away, sweep it under the rug until until we forget a lesson that could have been learned from that mistake. Because you learn a lot from mistakes. So, and as long as you don't admit that those were mistakes, it's very hard to grasp those lessons. Okay, there are 2 minutes until upload, but it's not upload or render, because there's still going to be an SD render and an HD render, so I might end up talking for quite a while here. Let's see. Some other things that I can talk about. So Joshua said earlier, talk about Q4, fourth quarter changes. Okay, so fourth quarter changes. I mean, it depends. Actually, for the students who are tuning in, of Pisay, if you're not alumnus. The changes will depend on your teacher, so I'm not sure how I can talk about it. Some will just retain the third quarter grade, and you can just increase it if you do something for fourth quarter. Some will have some other single submissions for the entire quarter. ComSci is doing something like that. So yeah, what else? Let's see. Okay. Okay, I honestly thought I would only need to solve for 30 minutes because Joshua said 30 minutes. I'm not sure what to talk about now. Okay, sige, let's see. What do I normally, what do I... We talked about what I spend my time on last stream, so... Let's see. Wait, Josh, is it uploaded already? Otherwise, I'm going to I'm going to stop wasting everyone's time and let me check. Let's see. Oh, there, it's uploaded. So yeah, he managed to cut down a 3-hour session into 2 hours. Not bad. There's probably a lot one. So yeah, I'm. This is just this small-ish stream is just So yeah, this is just kind of a prelude to the video that Joshua made, and also again, the point of this channel is to provide some kind of moral formation, moral support, moral teachings to so I actually did kind of want to stream a little, even if it was just for 15 minutes. I just had to extend for quite a bit. But yeah, so yeah, if there's something that you want me to talk about, I honestly like these exercises. I like thinking a lot about these moral conundrums, why I think the way I do. So if there are things that you're thinking about that you can't really work your way out of, maybe you can share it. So the Google form is down below. If you're okay with actually coming on to the Tarcy Talks, you're free to message me, and maybe we can set something up. But yeah, give me something to talk about. I'll be looking for some essays probably this week, and I'll see if I can pick one that we can comment on for next stream. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for coming, and hope you guys can enjoy the video that Joshua made. Bye guys.